What is going on? Unblinded movement. Looks like the music just stopped there. All good. Welcome everyone. It is Mastery Monday, Ecosystem Merger Monday, and this is the Unblinded Huddle, the #1 place to start your day, the daily dose of integrity-based human influence. My name's Fernando, and as we start our Monday, we start our week, we are somewhere in the midst of 2020, in the middle of August. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And what we're doing here at Unblinded and on these huddles is starting our day, prepping our day. And what we accomplish is that we create fun, simple, magical, micro distinctions and frictionlessness that free exponential abundance in your money, time, and magic. Now, I know Sean's camera is on, so he is here. And today on Ecosystem Merger Monday, Mastery Monday, what is the key distinction? Or even better, as we every single day here, we have an energy, we have an opportunity to share different bits and pieces of our heroic, unique identity. What is an ecosystem that benefits you? What is one ecosystem? If you had one real ecosystem merger, and I use the word real and I emphasize the word real because a lot of us have like bits and pieces and traces of mergers, but not a true deep merger. And that's a different conversation for a different day, at least today. So everyone in the chat can see you, understand you, and maybe even support you. What is one ecosystem that you want to connect with? Let's drop it in the chat right now. Is it lawyers? What kind of lawyer? Is it accountants? What kind of accountants? Is it financial service providers? What kind? Is it doctors? Is it nurses? Is it realtors, mortgage brokers, landscapers, builders? What is one ecosystem that if you had a merger, a full merger, a level 10 type merger with this ecosystem, it'd make a lasting difference on your money, time, and magic? This is about you. Let's emphasize that. This is all about you. Everyone in the movement, everything we do, the morning calls, the huddle, the team calls, it's all about your money, time, and magic. So in the chat right now, so I can begin to read some, what is an ecosystem that is meaningful for you? One, let's just go with one. Let's start with one. Let's drop it in the chat. Sean, welcome, Ecosystem Mastery Monday. What say you, my friend?
Hey, good morning to everybody. Hope everybody's weekend was awesome. And yeah, what's present for me this morning is really making sure to check in with you on how simple is your approach to building what you're building, right? How simple is it? You go, simple, there's all these things. No, I don't, there's not all these things, right? There's not all these things when you think of things in a top-down way. So what I'm super present to in heart-centered love as we start this Monday morning is really how we're thinking about things in sort of a structure of a pyramid in terms of our outcomes and our learning, right? So if at the top of this is money, time, magic, right? It expands as you go down with all sorts of micro distinctions along the way that are levers to create acceleration. But at its simplest, when you think of growing, we talk about counting 6 things, right? And in our counting of 6 things, right? The counting of 6 things are our ecosystem merging, as Fernando's mentioning, right? Eco, speaking engagements, right? 3 are sales meetings, 4 are sales. Let's just start there. Oh, and 5 leads to disposable income, and then 6 contribution, right? So when one of these aren't happening, there's reasons in the formula. But the #1 reason why I am super confident if somebody's looking to grow their ecosystem and either to elevate the quality, the relevant quality of an ecosystem, right? Or just have ecosystems in the first place, is because time blocking is not present. So my first question is, how are you doing simply on this ecosystem merger Monday, right? You will not merge ecosystems, right? Until you are time blocking the building of ecosystem mergers with intentionality, not randomness. So quickly, just checking in, this is the question for you to start. You know, we've had fun days, we've had heartfelt days, and today we'll bring some fun and heartfeltness. But the initial check-in is, where are you in merging of ecosystems? Like, where is that in your time blocking? So how many hours per week, how many time blocks do you have for the merging of your ecosystems? number one, right? And just let that sit. So, and if you want to drop in the chat, awesome, right? How much time blocking you're doing, how many days, how much time. And then if you're not doing it, then simply, right? Because if you're not doing it, then it simply becomes a question of what, Fernando? There's three parts: influence, self, and process mastery. If you're not doing the time blocking, then what's the challenge?
If you are not doing the time blocking, it's a self-mastery and process mastery, but mostly a self-mastery.
Yeah, right? Because time blocking is the process mastery thing that needs to get done. And if it's not getting done, it's because of self-mastery, right? Simply. And that breaks down into fear of failure, right? Fear of rejection, right? Super simply. And so for you, the absolute jump off point for fear of failure, fear of reject, or for not time blocking, is those two simple things. And if I could say from my heart to yours, right? I don't, and if somebody is homeless, forgive me for saying that, that's on this call. I don't think anybody is most likely homeless. But for those of you who are not homeless, you have a home. And for every single person that has a home, whether you live in an apartment, a condo, a private residence, for every single one of you, there was like a blueprint of making the home you live in. And then some human being, right, had engaged in process mastery to begin the building. They like dug a hole out, like they excavated. The excavation of you building out and accelerating your business, lawyer, accountant, engineer, coach, speaker, functional medicine practitioner, chiropractor, like whatever your profession is, whatever it is in the world, right? The time blocking to build out your ecosystem mergers is as fundamental as digging out the foundation to your home. And I think what I've experienced over time, and I'm seeing it with the people working with one-on-one, and I'm challenging the mastery students and people who are not in any of our programs but listen to the huddle. Thank you all, right? Thank you all. Is it's interesting that people, what it feels like people face a challenge often with is, and I'll go back to like the building of the home analogy, is that people will start thinking about like the curtains and the windows, and they're not digging the foundation. So if I could on this Monday, from my heart to yours in complete love, say this, that 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now, right? The differential in where your business is and what it looks like will be indispensably, inextricably intertwined with if you are time blocking for building ecosystem mergers. Time blocking for building ecosystem mergers. Just like let that land. And counting how many you have, right? And it isn't about waiting, it's now. And when you're having, so pause, it's now. It's like, is that time block for this week? I'm up every day at 5:30 in the morning working on the building of different businesses, right? And everything that we're doing. And this, in the space of it, I'm not coming up with a different plan than merge ecosystems. I'm not coming up with a different plan than speaking engagements. I'm not coming up. So this weekend I sat back and said, okay, so yeah, this is a little bit missing from what we're doing, right? So let's have a conversation about it. You know, I stop, I look, I count, I check out the time blocks of people on our team and go, all right, we're not doing this thing, right? And then, by the way, that's for every business I own. It's like I was on calls this morning about numerous businesses. I'm blinded for sure, Cal you off for sure. And a part of what is interesting and clear to me is how we organize this thinking. So to me, it's very simple. And my question to you is, it's simple for you. And the formula is designed to make it simple for you so things don't become elusive. And you may go, hey, I'm trying, man. Like I time block, I'm calling ecosystem mergers. My question would be, are they the right ones? Are they the right ones for you? Or forget right or wrong, how optimal are they? Well, like a 7. Why is that where you're spending your time blocks? And if you remember, we've talked about that some of your time blocking would be for the ones that are easier. And then you have like your reaches and then like your super reaches. Are all of these things showing up? Like are all of these things showing up for you, right? And what I would also check in on in self-mastery, if you feel yourself pulled away from this part of the conversation and you feel more like you want to, operate more in a space that feels good, which we do on different days, right? Is more like heart-centered and like loving and connected, which is beautiful. Is it that you're dreaming of building something? Like you dream of building a house, but just not taking the action steps? And it's okay, there's no judgment. And if it is, are you then like using the formula to move into your self-mastery and say, okay, I fear of failure, I fear of rejection, right? Like where is that for you, right? And then if you are taking the actions and people aren't saying yes or saying yes and disappearing, like things are happening, are you checking in on the full gamut of your influence mastery? And that's what Ecosystem Merger Monday is about and the Huddle's about. It's like, hey, a check-in, like, okay, like here I am, right? And avoiding the pull of like, hey, I'm more comfortable thinking about starting next week. I'm more comfortable when I sit in the space of like dream state. I'm more comfortable watching television and not working out and thinking about like how I'm going to work out later, sometime down the line. And what we're here to do is create an ecosystem and an environment where actions are taken, where acceleration is occurring, right? And so, Fernando, any optics from the chat? Anything coming up, or any optics from you?
On the chat is different dynamics, not specifically just our ecosystem connecting. What's really present for me, and I'll pre-frame with, Craig from SoCal, who went from having, one attorney in his, pool of ecosystems to having 34. He went 0 for 11 at the beginning, went 34 for 100 in like his first stint run. And why do I share all that? As an example of possibility. And after having, conversations nowhere near as many as Sean in 23 years and 2 years, as I've stepped into these conversations, a lot of the beginning like barriers are self-mastery, starting specifically with, will this work? Will this work being defined as fear of failure, fear of rejection? If I do this, I don't get results. Why do I share all that? One of the greatest like PowerPoint slides, I guess is what it was, in our accelerator was when we put up all the different ways that individuals can grow their business. They could network, they could do webinars, they can do social media posts, Facebook ads, Google, YouTube videos, all these things. And here's my like lovely and goddess confront to all of us, is in every single one of those, none of us are a genius. There is like space to learn. If we want to run Google ads, yeah, go to Google, put a credit card. Technically, it's that simple. Then it's like the tagging, the retargeting, the metrics, the email campaign, pulling them off Google. And every single thing you do, there's a learning curve and everything. And there's also a possible one here. The benefit here is that we know it works. Like it works. It's not like a question if it works. It's where's your application on it. So why do I create all that? So we can like visually and conceptually just take a look at, if we want to be successful on social media, there's a curve. And there's a much longer, larger, less probable, less inconsistent curve in like being successful. There's many successful people that use social media. Here, it's a lot more consistent. It's a lot more predictable. There's less things to learn. There's still things to learn. And overall, it's sustainable. When Facebook decides to shut off, you lose all your Facebook ads. You're never going to lose the ability to communicate with people unless we're on lockdown forever. Different conversation for a different day. And I'll pause in, kick it back to you, Sean.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, there are people, including somebody we represent, that had 26 million Facebook followers, 26 million, and they got turned off. And the allegations are turned off for completely the wrong reasons, and it destroyed their entire business. They were making millions of dollars a year. So this is about creating your own relationships that nobody can take from you, and always having the ability to do things with those people that equal business growth for you, fun magic, celebrating winning, and that's it. So as I sit here today, that is what is most present for me, of like the grounding of things, and just, you know, a little bit more of the technical dynamics of, but what all this connects to is our heart. And what is heaviest on my heart continuously is the same thing it was really the first day I went into a seminar, and I heard from people that they were at their 14th version. I'm making that up. I don't know if it was their 10th, their 20th. It was some extremely large number. And I had not been to a live seminar of this person before, but I had been learning material and implementing and making things happen. And so my reality from my growing up in sports, and imperfectly, by the way, like I couldn't be more imperfect, right? But I just, for the most part, if you told me, hey, go buy weights. And then in the beginning for me, it was do sets of 8, 10, and 12. And then every time you work out, try to add 2.5 pounds to your 8, 10, and 12 increase. This is when I was like in 8th grade. And all of a sudden, and then don't go up again until you can do 8, 10, and 12 with that weight. And again, roughly approximating, maybe it was the first 6 or 8 weeks, I went up 2.5 pounds every time. I was like, this is amazing. But I had just done what I was shared, what I was taught, like what the coach, the instructor told me to do. And it worked incredibly. And I remember and that's so when I was like first encountering, let's say the work of Jay Abraham, when he talked about preeminence, and he talked about in seated speaking. Then when I read How to Make a Fortune from Public Speaking, I was like, wow, like this is incredible. And I was realizing how many great people who are skilled at delivering services were not getting their message out there. So many people that were suboptimal were, the confusion of the marketplace on everything. And then when I encountered in that room people who were literally like, yeah, I've been here so many times, and they were excited and energized. And I honor that. That's amazing. Like being in a high state of energy, right, is contagious and is relevant and is important for the spreading of messaging. See science, studies cited in The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell all over the place, right? And what I was present to is like something was missing, because these people did not have the money that they, to me, should have had. With their intellect, their energy, their heart, their passion, their showing upness at these events. So that's when I began to build this. It was because the truth of it all was my greatest dream was to solve the riddle of why so many people spent time, money, and energy in the space of personal development and did not get the outcomes they wanted, or at least not take responsibility for that, but provide a framework for that. Like that's what this is, right? And so, from my heart to yours, it's literally, there's a choice. There's a choice of what we really want and what we're associating pain and pleasure to. And the choice sometimes comes down to, do I just want to feel good in the moment? Like, hey, watch Shark Week and eat Twizzlers, right? Or do I want to feel better physically and more energized, go out and run intervals, come back and lift when no part of me wants to intellectually, right? And that's what this comes down to, everything we're doing. There are numerous parts of this that, to be successful, will initially be things you do not want to do, right? They won't feel comfortable and normal until you reframe what is comfortable and normal for you. And that's the simple, fun, and magical micro distinctions and frictionlessness, dot, dot, dot. But they are simple, fun, and magical because the distinction is that the building of relationships with the right ecosystems can be something that you reassociate to and feel like is winning versus, and I'm not saying you're doing this, like somebody else cleaning up their desk or binge watching a show. And so what I'm putting out there with no judgment, just straight love and truth, that I love, for the most part, physical exercise, right? I love feeling like I've done something I know that is going to pay dividends, right? Even if the dividend is just in the knowing that what I'm doing is going to work. So the final check-in for you today is where is your level of influence, self, and process mastery in the things that you're doing to get the time, money, and magic you really want, or the magic, the time and money you really want, or the money, time, and magic, whatever the sequencing is for you. And that's what's on my heart today. And I'm immensely grateful for you being here. I'm immensely grateful for your confidence in what we're talking about. But really think about today, not think about, act, time block, check your time blocking related to ecosystem merging. It's Ecosystem Merger Monday. For today, it's not 15 things, it's one thing. Where is your rating of your time blocking? And then what do you need to do to make it a 9.5? And all you need to do to make it 9.5 is to put it into your calendar and then to take action. And if you're not doing it, then it's a self-mastery check-in. And if you're doing it and people are not being responsive and like you're doing it for a week and you've talked to 20 people during those time windows and there's a challenge, then it's in your influence mastery, but it doesn't necessarily mean your likability. It means what you're proposing to people could be off. So I have people come on the Real Raw every day and they're like, what I'd like to do is get together with you and brainstorm about, like, if that's where you're coming from, that's not an ecosystem merger. An ecosystem merger is specific with an irresistible offer of value add of what, like, to solve for a problem they have, right? Like, that's what it is. It's not, hey, what I'd love to do is take a half an hour and brainstorm how we might help each other. Like, that's not what an ecosystem merger phone call looks like. It's you figuring out that, hey, I'm going to talk to an accountant or a coach and a speaker or a doctor. And I know what they want, I think, and I'm going to find out and make sure I lock it in by building emotional rapport, putting something at stake, right? Those things are going to be present, and I'm going to be specific. So what I'm speaking into right now is in how you evaluate your influence mastery. Just make sure you know what that looks like. It's not like, well, I'm great at building rapport. People like me. Yeah, but you could be like a 2 at creating a specific irresistible offer for why they should take the first step towards merging ecosystems with you. So for today, this was a Ecosystem Merger Monday check-in on how to rise your mastery on also Mastery Monday, right? Of where your ecosystems are. Fernando, final.
No final. Beautiful episode. Thank you everyone for being here. Sean, take us home.
Yeah, listen, love all you guys. This is your world. It's your choices, right? It is here. The formula works. Questions, challenges, issues, bring them some questions here. And certainly mastery students to the calls on Tuesday and Thursday and the 8 a.m. calls. We are present to the micro distinctions and vertical innovation that free you and accelerate, but none of that can happen unless you're learning through taking action and zone action every single day. Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Thanks.